I'm joined this morning by Sarah Hughes from Syngenta. Now, Sarah, you've got a lovely new job, haven't you? So you've got quite a busy time ahead of you and during. So tell us a little bit about the new job that you've got.
I've recently taken on the role as the UK and Ireland business manager for turf and landscape with Syngenta. It's really exciting, a really exciting move for me. I also cover ornamentals and pest control as well, but the turf and landscape piece of the job is by far the biggest part of my time. And yeah, we're very, we do a lot of work on that in the UK. So it's something that I'll really be focusing on.
Now, what challenges do you see facing, not just yourself as an individual, could be a bit much to leave it all with you, but as yourself, the company, and the industry coming up? I know with product coming off the market and coming up delisted, all that sort of thing. It's a volatile industry. So, what can you tell us that's ahead of us for the next little while?
Well, I think so. I've worked for Syngenta for some time, and I've moved in from the agricultural part of the business. And I think it's a problem that there's problems facing end users, whether it's agriculture or turf or any of the end users. And I think, as you've alluded to, legislation, registration, loss of products, and also product resistance. We've historically been very used to having chemistry when we wanted it to solve kind of the challenges we've got out there. But actually, we know that with environmental changes or resistance, some of those products aren't working as well as they used to. And I think that's the real challenge that our end users have got, whether it's, a turf manager or a greenkeeper. It's about getting that end result that you want with the toolkit that you've got available. And I think that toolkit, if you're just looking at conventional chemistry, is probably getting a bit smaller than it was. So as one of my roles is to try and help keep those products as available as we can. And at Syngenta, we work really hard with our registration colleagues. We work with people within the industry, so some of the kind of industry bodies, to kind of create that longevity of lifespan for the product. But there's also a piece about best use. So how do we kind of prevent resistance from happening? So, how do we educate people and encourage them to kind of get the best out of that product, use it in the best way? And then there's, lots of other bits in the toolkit that we really need to look at now to kind of get the whole package. So the term integrated turf management, I'm not sure whether you're nodding, so it's something you've heard of, but it's not just about chemistry anymore. It's about using biologicals, it's about using data and kind of digital tools to really get the most out of that turf and provide it in the best shape we can for that end customer. So for us, our end customer is often the person managing the turf, but actually for that person, the end customer could be the golfer, it could be the race course manager, it could be the rugby player, the football players. And it's really about thinking about what those end users are looking for and working with the people trying to create that to give them the best toolkit possible.
Yeah.
Which
Now, I
is a
know.
very long answer to a short
No, no,
question, I'm
lovely. It's
afraid,
nice to get
Scott.
nice to get a detailed answer. Now, I know Syngenta are more than just what you've been talking about there, as you did say, because you've got your weather app and all this sort of thing to try and give people as much information, not just on what they put in the ground and on the surface, but how they might help when it comes to weather and all those other things. You see it almost like a holistic approach that Syngenta tend to take.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so Syngenta. We've been involved in digital tools for some time, but in the wider business, I think what's really struck me moving into the turf side of the business is how end user focused those digital tools are. So we've got a lot of expertise within the team of people that have worked in the turf industry, so they know some of the challenges, and there are lots of challenges when you're outside working in all weathers. So you've got the challenge of nature, and also you have the challenge of your customers as well, who are also expecting perfection. And we know that that's a really difficult line to kind of walk. So where we see the digital tools fitting are to really support the other offers that we've got to really give that integrated approach. So if we can understand how those pests are working, how those disease life cycles work, and what are the triggers, we can use data, and we can use data analysis to help understand when is the best time to control and what's the best control to use. Or in some cases, the control might be just to leave it and come in at a different time. And because we know that the options we've got are becoming more and more limited, we want to really use them at the right time that they will have the most effect, whether it's a biological control, a cultural control, or a chemical control. Really understand how to make the most effect out of them. And that's where we see the digital tools working. It's really exciting. It's a really exciting kind of area. And we're working with kind of end users to get that kind of feedback loop, because unless it works for that end user, people won't use the digital tools. We all know ourselves, you only use the ones that actually do something for you. So yeah, it's something that's quite, it's not new digital tools, but really doing that integrated with all the other bits of the kind of jigsaw is something that we're working hard to achieve.
Now, I know you've mentioned you've come over from the agricultural side of things. Now, there's always been the feeling that the technology, the advancements are greater in agriculture because it's a bigger industry. And that so hopefully what you'll be doing is bringing some of those advancements over to our sector, our smaller sector within the industry. And did you also work in the seed side of things? Was that a...
Yes. So I've worked for the crop protection bit of our business historically. So before coming to Syngenta, I used to be an agronomist, not working on turf, but I did work on cereals and other crops. So I know that the agronomy side of how diseases and pests work. But more recently, I've worked for the seed side of the business, and the seeds and genetics side of growing is really fascinating. And I can see how that really translates into the world of turf. If you can get your genetics right and get the right variety in your turf, that can really help you long term in managing what your outcome is. So when we look at the recommended lists of the seed types or the varieties, you can look at what different disease resistance they've got, and that really will help a grower with a flexibility of when and what they apply in the season. And then there's obviously the kind of the growing structure of that grass. And I shouldn't say this at all, but grass from an agricultural point of view is very much looked at as a food crop for cows. But in this world, it's a completely different story. And the differences between all those different grass species, their growing habits, what they can bring, really can work well with some of the kind of control methods and the integrated turf management tools that companies like Syngenta can bring. And I think it's a real partnership. So if you know what your crop is or your turf is that you're dealing with, you can then use the right kind of tools to get that end product that you're looking for from your turf. So yeah, it's great bringing that knowledge. Obviously the products are there as well, and we're always looking to see where we can extend them into turf. Not all products move across. You kind of assume they would, but they don't always work well. But actually, I would say I think the kind of technical knowledge in the turf industry is really very advanced. I don't think it's definitely not the poor relation to other bits of the sector. That some of the knowledge and the kind of knowledge within the industry of the turf managers and greenkeepers is amazing, and sometimes way more advanced than some of the farmers I've spoken to, because I think you're very much focused on much smaller areas. You're not talking about kind of 3 or 4 hectare fields of wheat. You're talking about golf courses, race courses, where literally all the eyes are on it. So there's a lot of focus on getting it right.
I was very lucky. It was a number of years ago now, but I had the opportunity to go and visit the Syngenta headquarters in Switzerland, and seeing all the guys in the white coats with all the fancy new innovations. What In what areas are we going to be seeing innovation coming through over the next 2 or 3 years? I know you can't give us any specifics, but maybe a few hints would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned Switzerland, but we also have our kind of head research and development station in Gellets Hill in Berkshire as well. So we still, it's Syngenta is absolutely based on R&D, technology, and really understanding our products and how they work, because we feel by doing that, that's how we can give the kind of end user the best advice. So I think moving forward, the key thing will be trying to keep those products we have that we like, and we want them to have as long a life cycle as possible. And as I mentioned before, that's about best use, and using them in an environmentally responsible manner as well. So, we're all aware of kind of sustainability and water courses, but also sustainable for ourselves as well. So using them in using the right protective equipment. And so what a really big part of our role is working with kind of the registration and legislation bodies to keep that life cycle. But then we do have some exciting new products coming through. And we also have some really exciting kind of integrated turf management offers where we're working with things like biological products. So looking at a kind of a mix between a chemical, a biological, and a digital tool to really create that best control offer for an end user. So maybe looking at things like leather jackets, which can be a massive problem on for turf or for greenkeepers. It's not just the grubs that are the problem; it's the damage that the kind of the badgers and the birds that come on can make. So we've got a really interesting new offer coming through that uses all three separate pieces that kind of come together in a really nice package, because we know we don't have that luxury of lots and lots of products to choose from. So it's about being really smart with what we have got. But actually, my colleagues are kind of teasing me that, there haven't been that many new products for the last few years. And then, when I started, there's suddenly a whole raft of things in the pipeline, which I can take no credit for. But it's really nice to be working with potential new products. And it's just really then about making sure that we can get those to market. So the kind of registration teams and our kind of getting those data packages all robustly put forward, and then really helping users understand how to use them best on their course or on their, where they want to use them on their turf.
Well, it's great to hear how excited you are about your new role, and great to hear that Syngenta is on top of so many issues that are out there and with potential solutions that are going to help the turf managers out there. So good luck with the new job, and thank you very much for the time you've managed to give to us. And I look forward to meeting you in person before too long.
Likewise, really nice to meet you as well, Scott.